Hi and welcome to this Rockefeller Habits checklist overview. Today I'm going to talk to you about what are the 10 Rockefeller Habits and how can they improve your business and what do they mean. So my name's Giles. I've been a Gazelles senior coach for several years now. I first started using the Rockefeller Habits and this checklist in particular way back in 2002 to great effect within my business and subsequent businesses as well as customers and friends' businesses. So what is the Rockefeller Habits checklist? It's a list of 10 routines that you can embed into your business, and within that 40 questions to ask really how can you move the needle in terms of your business. It's not necessarily to implement any of these routines to build a long-lasting organization. It just means you've been leaving massive amounts of money and time on the table. And if you have a killer strategy or your people are willing to work 18 hours a day, 7 days a week, that'll make up for sloppy execution and lack of discipline. But these habits will drive you to achieve that and have to not need that. Once checklist item 1 is present and the executive team is healthy and aligned, we recommend implementing 1 or 2 items per quarter, and that way you would have moved through all 10 habits in around 2 to 3 years. So where does the Rockefeller Habits come from? It was from an original book by Vern Harnish called Mastering the Rockefeller Habits, which was released in the early 2000s, and then in 2014, Scaling Up, Mastering the Rockefeller Habits 2.0 was released. So let's go and have a look through what are the 10 Rockefeller Habits. The first is the executive team is healthy and aligned. This habit is first because it's the most important habit, and this is the one it's almost impossible. It's really hard to implement any of the other 9 habits until you can get this one underway. And so generally we begin by looking to a thought leader by the name of Patrick Lencioni, who wrote this book, The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team, first of all, to try to get a healthy executive or leadership team that are aligned. Also, we use tools such as DISC and Strength Finder 2.0 to help to get that underway. Habit number 2, everyone is aligned with the number 1 thing that needs to be accomplished this quarter and to move the company forward. So once the executive team is healthy and aligned, we want everyone in the company to know what the company priorities are for the next quarter. When we look at the stats, and this one in particular comes from Stephen Covey, only 15% of employees actually know what their company's top priorities are. But even worse, only 6% know what their individual priorities are. So people don't know where their efforts should be best used within the company. Rockefeller Habit 3, communication rhythm is established and information moves through the organization accurately and quickly. So this is about having a disciplined meeting structure that is effective in approving communication and distributing information. So a couple of examples is first of all the daily huddle. So that is a daily meeting for maybe 5 or 10 minutes with the group of people to catch up on what's happening and any information to be distributed. And then weekly and monthly and quarterly meetings where an organisation can meet to work on the business, to discuss the company's strategy and to undertake execution planning. Habit number 4, every facet of the organisation has a person assigned with accountability for ensuring goals are met. So within smaller companies, all of the accountability sits with the CEO. If something goes wrong, it all tends to go up the hierarchy and all of the problems and accountability tends to end with the CEO. So that is a real constraint to growth. And so we overcome that by having other people accountable. So a good example or a simple example is, should the sales manager be accountable for revenue or should the CEO be accountable for revenue? So what we're saying is all numbers should have a person accountable for them, which is not the CEO. And all people should have numbers to hold them accountable. Habit number 5, ongoing employee input is collected to identify obstacles and opportunities. So the leadership team has an up-to-date understanding of employee sentiment and what employees believe should be done in the business. So the employees felt engaged and they felt heard by the leadership team, which promotes a better culture, obviously. So we have a deep understanding as a leadership team of how employees feel every week, and there's a habit and a system around that. Number 6, reporting and analysis of customer feedback data is as frequent and accurate as financial data. So exactly the same as the previous habit, number 5, around employee feedback data. Here we're saying the leadership team has to have an up-to-date understanding of customer sentiment and what customers believe is working or not working in the business, so that customers they feel heard. So every week we have a system or a process that gives us a deep understanding of what's happening in the market, how we're perceived, and what's working. Number 7, core values and purpose are alive in the organisation. So the values and the purpose are authentic and they're strong. They're not simply wall placards that people walk past, that they gather dust and they mean nothing at all. So core values are used as a tool to improve the business by both managers and HR, rather than just being something nice that people can look at. So this is an example of a company called SparkNet, and this is how they're bringing their core values to life. Habit number 8, employees can articulate the following key components of the company strategy accurately, and that is the big, hairy, audacious goal, or the 10 to 30 year goal, but the progress is tracked and visible by all employees. The core customer, so who's the ideal customer that we're trying to serve, and people can repeat that in 25 words or less. Our 3 brand promises, which says to the market what is unique and different about our company, and then finally what is our elevator pitch. So in terms of the BHAG being tracked and visible, this is an example of Naomi Simpson from Australian Shark Tank, and her company is Red Balloon, when her BHAG was ticking over to 2 million, when she was achieving her BHAG, or her big, hairy, audacious goal. Number 9, all employees can answer quantitatively whether they had a good day or week, which is column 7 of the one-page strategic plan. So this kind of ties back to Rockefeller Habit 4, where we talk about the function accountability chart, or having every person accountable for a number, and having every number having a person's accountability to it. So all people and teams can both articulate what are the numbers that they're trying to achieve and what are the priorities that them and or their team are trying to achieve for a week and perhaps for a quarter. And ideally, we've even got a daily pulse on how they're tracking towards that. So this is an example of some software you may want to use for that. This is called Align, or Align Today. Also, you could use other software, for example, Trello. The key is to track how people are progressing on their numbers and KPIs. And finally, Rockefeller Habit 10, the company's plans and performance are visible to everyone. So this is all over the office. People know what is happening in the business. The values, the purpose, and the priorities are all throughout the company. And there are dashboards or scoreboards all throughout the company so that people can track and see the progress with KPIs and priorities. So this is an example of a company where they bring their values to life by just posting some small posters on top of their workstations. This is SRG Insurance, and this is another example of dashboards being used in an office to bring to life the numbers so that people understand how we're tracking and what needs to be done. So there's quite a lot of things to do, I'm sure you would agree there. But really the question is, what would move the needle the most on your company growth in the next 90 days? Of those 10 habits, is there one in there that would really make a difference to you? So I'm Brad Giles. This has been the Rockefeller Habits Execution Checklist Overview. Thanks for watching.